have several cars that have one or more small things wrong with them. These are things that won't take very long to fix at all, but for various reasons, I've procrastinated working on them. Well, it's time I stop procrastinating and make a large payment toward my project debt. All right, let's get out of here before I die. The most immediate issue with the white Solo, with the white Solo, I shall now demonstrate by reinserting a fuse. Yeah. Hey, there's the problem. Sticking the fuse in now. That was the clue as to what the issue is. Did you guess what the issue is? Well, in case you didn't, here's a demonstration. That's a problem. I pulled the fuse again to avoid irritating myself, but you can still hear the relay click. So I can tell what's happening. This is harder than it needs to be. I wiggle it around, which it's not supposed to be that loose. I can hear the relay clicking. Did it? Did it? Did it? Yes! Oh my God, that took so much work. Now, I already knew this wasn't a Solo specific part. It's just a generic off-the-shelf part. But the brand name is... I did it! It's on the horn ring too. I did it! All right, there's two problems in here. One is the blinker is really loose, and the other one is this slip ring for the horn has been making contact with this screw right here. I can see the problem point. You can hear the relay clicking. I think both of these problems might be fixed by this screw being tightened. If it's that simple, I'm not going to hold my breath yet, but it might be that simple. I put some thread locker in that screw so it won't try to back out again, and I added some extra lubrication to the mechanism over here, and I think that's it. I'm going to put the steering wheel back on. That was just one loose screw. I almost forgot the little ring here. That problem's fixed. The car's less randomly horn full now, but it still has another steering column related issue. Most of the time when I cancel the left turn signal, it just cancels the left turn signal. But about 1 in every 10 to 20 times when I cancel the left turn signal, it either blows the fuse for the blinkers and headlight, or, and this is the confusing one, causes the motor to fault out. I have no idea what could possibly be causing this, but instead of trying to dig into the steering column again and just try to figure out, let's start out simply by trying to reproduce it while the car's sitting still. I guess I just turn on the left turn signal and then cancel it a bunch until the headlight goes out. Oh, I did it! It did it! There was lead up to that too. The dash lights started flickering. All right, I replaced the 10 amp fuse. I'm gonna try to blow it again. I think I discovered or saw a hint of a pattern. I'm gonna try to reproduce it. There it was. It seems as though the motion that trips that fuse is slowly pushing up on the left turn signal to cancel it. Ha ha! Scared me. I don't like being stupid. This is probably a silly thought, but I want to make sure I can still blow that fuse and reproduce the issue with the steering wheel out of there. Also, maybe I can look at the mechanism and see if anything's weird. Oh, I actually did see a thing. All right, I replaced the fuse and brought you in for a closer look, so hopefully you can see what I saw. Turn on the left turn signal, and then slowly turn it off. Did you see that? Yes, it appears the tolerances of the blinker mechanism and the I did it steering column are too tight, and it's shorting to ground on the case of the steering column. I've attempted to fix, but before I brag about how incredibly simple this fix was, let me just make sure that it does indeed work. Well, I can't get the fuse to pop in the same way that I was popping it before, so I'm going to call it fixed. Now let me bring you in to show you what I did. I wedged a piece of double stick tape in there to keep that piece of metal from shorting on the case of the steering column. That's it. I did it. You didn't make your thing very well. I also fixed the key fob. It just had a dead battery, so I replaced it. So now this works. Lock, unlock. But as a reminder, there's no manual way at all to lock or unlock the doors, and there's no way to jump the 12-volt battery from outside the car. So these doors are never to be locked. So why did I put a new battery in the remote? So the hatch popper would work, obviously. That didn't work. There we go. I'm done with the Solo for now. On to the next car, which is the Robin. I lied. Between the last shot and now, I hurt my back, and what I need to do to the Robin would involve putting myself in positions that would very likely hurt my back more, so instead, Trabant. And the first thing it needs is a new 6-volt battery. For the intro shot, I had to push start it. That's annoying, so let's replace this guy. Like that. And here's the new battery. It didn't take me a whole day to find this, honestly. Yay! Battery power. So what small jobs does Le Trabant need? It's actually started to gather a list of bigger issues, but I have to order parts for most of those, so they're not happening right now. What I am going to work on right now is the seat. As you might be able to notice, the passenger seat is missing. But that's actually not true. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I moved it from there to here because when I was driving this thing around a couple years ago in Washington, D.C., I leaned back and the seat back broke. So I moved the passenger seat over here and took the driver's seat out to work on it, but I never did. Here's the broken seat frame, which I would have to bend over or sit down to work on, which would not be great for my back if it weren't for today's sponsor, FlexiSpot. And now it's at the perfect height. The E7 is a power adjustable standing desk made by FlexiSpot. It has 4 memory positions. It adjusts up and down very quietly, and it shows the height of the desk to the nearest 1/10 of an inch. FlexiSpot uses automotive grade steel, making it more durable than other standing desks. I pitched a FlexiSpot using this as a workbench, and you can definitely use it as a workbench. This lifting mechanism supports up to 450 pounds, but this desk is so much nicer than my current desk. I'm not going to leave it out here and use it as a workbench. This is going in my office, where the FlexiSpot C7 office chair already lives. I love this thing. It's adjustable in so many different ways. I mean, shoot, the armrests alone are adjustable in like 3 different ways. And this huge lumbar support here is what allows me to actually sit in this chair for more than 15 minutes at a time after I hurt my back. I got this chair right after I hurt my back, and it was perfect timing. And you can adjust it up and down. It's really comfortable, and it's actually cheaper than my last chair. If you want to check out the E7 desk or C7 chair, go to FlexiSpot's website. And if you order one, use code AGINGWHEELS at checkout to get an additional $30 off your order. And this desk comes with a 15-year warranty. The C7 chair comes with a 10-year warranty. And they both come with a 30-day return period. So, you can send it back if you don't like it, but you're probably going to like it. And thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. The seat frame's broken in 2 places, the most obvious of which is right here. The seat back's just broken off. The other bit that's broken is the other half of the seat back adjust mechanism. The way this mechanism works is if I push up on this lever, it raises the seat back up, this little tooth section, off of another gear tooth section and allows it to move freely. The tooth that goes on this side has just completely broken off, which I think is what caused the back to break. If this tooth isn't supporting this side of the seat back and it's only on this side, then all of the pressure is going to be on this tooth, and I think that's what fatigued this seat, because all of my back weight was bending on this and it was complying on this side, but the stress was taken up by this element, which eventually broke. Reattaching this toothy bit here, I thought it was going to be difficult, but I was overthinking it. The other side is attached with a bolt and 2 press-fit positioning pins. The positioning pins is what I was worried about, but I can just replace those pins with a 5mm bolt. It fits perfectly. I double and triple checked this thread size. It is correct, but for some reason these nuts are somewhat of an interference fit. And by somewhat of an interference fit, I mean it feels like it's cross-threaded, but it's correct. I don't get it. Ow! Come on. Now it won't come off. I'm having the weirdest and most annoying issue. These M5 screws and these nuts fit together so tightly, they feel like they're cross-threaded. I can only get it tightened down so far before I strip the head out, and I had to use vice grips to undo it. So I thought maybe these are definitely M5 by 0.8 pitch screws. I thought maybe they're too big. So I went to town and got some different M5 screws, and the same thing happened. What's even more confusing is if I use my thread checker here, I thread the nut onto the end. It's definitely an M5 by 0.8 nut. And if I drew the screw into the other end, it's definitely an M5 by 0.8 screw. There's no interference at all. But if I put the 2 of them together, I get about 1 turn in, and then it jams up. Which one of these is made wrong? Is it the nut? Is it the screw? I don't know. I have to go to town again and get some more hardware because these things that should be the same size aren't. Got them. Didn't expect to spend 4 hours today looking for M5 screws that fit into M5 nuts, but here we are. Here we go. That took dramatically more time than it should have. The reason I bolted this toothy bit on here first before welding is so I can make sure both sides are engaged to the same set of teeth and therefore aligned perfectly before I weld it out of a line. And I've got the two halves drawn together by this clamp that's wedged in here, so this is lined up and ready to weld. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I got that piece of metal bent almost perfectly. It's going to be a reinforcement strip that I'm going to weld on now. It's only a little on fire. And just like that, the mechanism is fixed. And it only took me, do I admit this? 5 years to get to this. Took me less than a day, but it took me 5 years to get to this. I broke this in 2019. What? But obviously it's not done yet. There's no cushions on it, so I need to put those back on next. Here's the bottom seat cushion, complete with horsehair. That goes down here. Now this is the original seat covering, I think, but it's kind of destroyed, and I'm going to cover it up anyway, so I think I'm going to get rid of it. If you disagree with this decision, please let me know in the comments. This is the aftermarket seat covering that was on it when I got the car. So to me, it's original. It's not original, but to me it is. Let's see if I can figure out how to attach this. Strings and other strings. I'm gonna have to tie knots. This is just terrible. No idea if I did that right, or if there is even really a correct way to do it. But it looks good. Look at that. It's even mostly aligned. Okay, now the seat back has this sort of liner, and this, I know for a fact, was glued on. I'm not gonna re-glue it. And then putting this seat back on, it becomes evident that I did the other part wrong. That's a nice tight fit. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm very aware there's a giant tear there. And I think this is done. It doesn't look good. Now I can take the passenger driver's seat out, trying not to hurt myself in the process. Come on, go all the way. Thank you. And while I've got it out, I can work on this seat cover too, because it's very obviously not attached at all. There's two seat covers. There's another one. I didn't know that before. Take that, you piece of garbage. Likely because this was the passenger seat, this seat cover is fully intact. So I'm going to leave it in place and just put the seat cover over top of it. Now I can put the passenger seat back in, but on the passenger side this time. There we go. And now I can put in the driver's seat on the driver's side. Right, last small job that doesn't require ordering parts. This tire has a slow leak. I've just doused it with soapy water and revealed nothing. So I'm going to take it off now. Nothing. I see nothing. Oh, it's the valve stem. Of course it's the valve stem. I took this to a tire shop to replace the leaky valve stem, but they took one look at this tire and they said, we're not touching that. That's a 10-year-old tire. Which caught me off guard because I got these tires a little over 8 years ago. But they were right. This is a 10-year-old tire, as are all the rest of the tires on the Trabant. So what started out as taking this tire in to get a leaky valve stem replaced escalated quite rapidly into, I just ordered a brand new set of tires for the Trabant. The Trabant has other issues. This wheel cylinder, I believe, is leaking. The gearbox has developed a significant leak. It needs new brake drums, etc., etc. But all of those things require ordering parts. So for now, I'm done with it. All right, next up on the list is in the other room. First small job on the little Fiat. This tire has a slow leak, just like on the Trabant, except it's a different tire. So everything about this is just tiny. Look at it. Look at that. Look at that. Is it leaking from the valve stem? Oh my goodness, it is. First place I looked. I took this into a tire shop to have the leaky valve stem replaced, and they took one look at the tire and they said, we're not touching that. And I wasn't previously aware of this. This is a 17-year-old tire. And I also wasn't aware that the front and rear tires on this Polski Fiat are two completely different tires. And the rear ones are much newer. So they're from 2009. They're only 15 years old. So what started out is I took this into a tire shop to have the leaky valve stem replaced, quickly escalated into I bought a new set of tires for the Polski Fiat. And as you can imagine, there are not a huge number of options for 135 80 R12 tires. In fact, I had one option and it's not the same size. I ordered 145 80 R12s. If I remember correctly, they were going to be a ½ inch taller overall and 10 millimeters wider. But it's all I could have. They're going to be fairly expensive too, but these need replacing. I didn't realize all of the dry rot cracking around this beforehand. Another issue that, it's in here now, another issue the Polski Fiat has that's kept me from driving it for months is a fuel delivery issue. I have no idea what the problem actually is. It will start up just fine. It will run just fine. And then after a seemingly variable amount of time, it'll just die. And I have a clear fuel line on here. I can see air bubbles coming up through there. But like I said, it's a seemingly variable amount of time that this happens, and it'll start up and run just fine before that. Now, I have put a new mechanical fuel pump on it. I put a new carburetor on it. I've tuned that carburetor. I've not tuned that carburetor. A couple of Polish guys came and visited my shop, and they tuned the carburetor for me. And still the problem persists. I have no idea what the issue is. My only idea of what the problem could be is maybe a fuel blockage, either in the gas tank or in the line somewhere. So I've gone out and bought this inline fuel filter. I don't think it has a fuel filter on it at all at the moment, and this extra bit of fuel line here, and I'm gonna try to siphon out the gas tank from the back. This is my only idea. If it fails to siphon, then I guess there's a fuel blockage. If it doesn't fail to siphon, then I have no other ideas. I'll just plug in this bit here. And then this goes out the back. How do I do this without tasting gas? Oh, I know. Trim a little hole in the side. Whoa! Oh, it's siphoning. It's working. Wow, that fuel flow is just tremendously slow. I'm confused. I kept on siphoning the gas tank for a while, not revealing anything. At one point, the flow did stop, but I was messing with the fuel line, so I have no idea if I caused it or if it was an actual blockage or something. But anyway, I kept on siphoning the tank for quite a while, and the tank was almost empty. So rather than put the old gas back in the tank, I decided to go get some new gas and put it in there. And after I was done with that, I thought, why not? Let's take it for a test drive. It'll probably die half a mile down the road. It didn't. Not only did it not die, it worked totally fine. When it was cold and I let it idle in my driveway, it was a bit stumbly. But after it had warmed up, it didn't stumble at all anymore, and it worked completely normally. So I have no idea what my fuel starvation issue was, and I have no idea if that problem is really, truly solved. Last thing before tires, oil change. There we go, glug out. I haven't changed the oil in this since I got it about a year ago, so I was in for a surprise when I looked up what oil filter it uses. It doesn't have an oil filter. It has a centrifugal oil separator. You're supposed to clean it regularly, and I hate it. The oil separator, which you could argue fits the definition of a filter as well, lives right back here at the very back of the engine, right in front of this whole cross member section. To clean out this oil separator, you have to take the plate off the front of it, which this cross member is in the way of. So to clean out this oil separator, you have to remove this cross member, which itself is just held in by 4 bolts. But also attached to this cross member is the skid plate underneath the engine, the hatch, the rear bumper, and the engine itself. So to clean out this oil separator, you have to jack up the engine from underneath and dismount half the engine. Because this is such a faff, it's likely no one in this car's recent history has cleaned out that oil separator, so I should really do it. But I'm not gonna. Because lifting out all of this would put me at risk at hurting my back again, which I don't want to do. Is this a weak excuse to cover up the real reason of I don't wanna? Yes, but what are you gonna do about it? I will clean out that oil separator in a month or 2 after my back is healed, I promise. But anyway, the oil I'm gonna put in here is 20W50 with high zinc, and it's branded racing oil, which is funny, because it has 25 horsepower. I went to get tires. I didn't make it. I did not get very far down the road before it started fuel starving and bucking again. And by the time it started doing that, it was game over. I couldn't even make it back home. It wouldn't stay running long enough to make it back home. So I had to park it somewhere, walk home, get the trailer, and trailer it back. So I guess doing almost nothing to it really didn't fix it magically. Weird. Another symptom it has when it starts doing this fuel starvation thing is the carb is soaking wet with gas on the outside. I don't know where this gas is coming from, and as a reminder, it's a brand new carb, and I did put new seals in it. I don't even know if it means anything, but I thought I should mention it. And now I don't know what the problem could possibly be, but it doesn't matter. I don't have time to mess with it anyway. So on to the next piece of garbage. The Robin only needs 2 things. Correction, I'm only going to do 2 things to the Robin: an oil change and the brake lights don't work. See if I can undo it by hand. There, yeah, I can. Awesome. New oil filter, here it is. There we go, and while I was in here, I noticed that this fuel line was leaking right here at the connection point, so I trimmed the end bit off and tightened this hose clamp, and it seems to be good now. Now to pop in 5.5 UK pints of 20W50. Do I need a funnel for this? No. No, I don't. And there we go. The brake lights don't work. I'm hitting the brake pedal. It's not doing anything. Okay, well, I found the problem, as you'll see now. Brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. The problem is the brake light switch. Here it is. First of all, it's inexplicably wet. There's nothing wet near it. I don't know why it's wet. But also, while I was poking around at it, a little piece of plastic broke off and it exploded at me. Here's the rest of it. Guess who made this part? Yes, it's Lucas Electrics. But anyway, I found this as a replacement. I installed it, and I managed to do it without re-injuring my back. Good job, me. Again, why is this area wet? There's nothing wet around it. It even works. I don't know how long the brake lights have been non-functioning, but I'd be willing to bet a while. But the good news is it's a bright blue suppository. It's pretty hard to miss. And that's it. That's all I had to do. There's plenty of other stuff I could do, but I don't want to. How's that for reasoning? Everything I accomplished in this video is little stuff that I very easily could have done off camera, but by doing it on camera, I got 2 benefits. 1, I got a video out of it, and 2, I made it take 4 times longer, and who wouldn't want that? It's not fixed. It's not fixed.